Now, Pyrocynical is an absolute titan in the commentary sphere. He's generally seen as one of the most respected and successful commentary channels. People apparently really enjoy listening to this guy's opinions. Now, me personally, I also quite like Pyrocynical, and I do watch his content occasionally, especially since he's someone that likes to call out other YouTubers for blatantly scamming their audience. However, recently Pyro has been exposed for essentially being a hypocrite as he got involved in a massive scam himself. Now, what has Pyro been up to ever since the big controversy at the tail end of 2020? Well, Pyrocynical's main channel sits at almost 5 million subs. On this channel, he exclusively uploads high quality video essays, and judging by the insane editing and runtime of some of these videos, they must have taken like multiple months to make, and I definitely respect the work ethic required to be able to release such high effort videos. Now, throughout the past couple of years, in order to be able to sustain his channel despite the infrequent uploads, Pyrocynical has branched out to streaming and also releasing content somewhat defined as slop on multiple secondary channels. Although he occasionally gets stuff wrong in these second channel videos and some of them aren't really transformative, I overall still think that the content is alright, especially since the revenue made from that content allows Pyro to freely upload whatever he wants on his main channel without having to worry about monetization. Therefore, I do really feel like Pyrocynical has done really well on YouTube ever since his big controversy with Turkey Tom 4 years ago. Now, speaking of that controversy, one of the biggest revelations that came from that whole situation was the reveal of Pyrocynical's unique sexual preferences. Listen, there's no safe for work way of saying this, so I'm just gonna be blunt even though my roommates are home and they'll think that I'm like a degenerate when they hear me say this. But in case you didn't know, Pyrocynical has a heavy sort of like fat furry roleplay fart fetish, which I do think is weird, but my take on this has always been that I do not care about other people's sexual preferences at all, as long as your kinks aren't actively hurting other people, violate their consent, or involve children. I'm perfectly fine with people being into whatever they want. Although I will say that if you're exclusively getting turned on by overweight furries farting and sexual interactions with normal humans make you feel nothing, then I do think you might have a serious problem. Anyway, so why are Pyro's kinks relevant to this scam? Well, something that I was actually quite surprised to find out is that Pyro does have a longtime girlfriend called Ida. Now, based on what I just told you, you can probably imagine what her profession was at the time she met Pyro. Yeah, she was a Twitter artist drawing NSFW fat furry art. Now, as you can see, her Twitter account still says commissions open. If you don't know, commissions are basically how Twitter artists make money. You hit them up in DMs asking for a certain piece of artwork in their style, send them money for it, and then they will create this art for you. That's essentially what a commission is. Now, despite Ida's Twitter stating that her commissions are open, her account has been dead silent for over a year, and over on her YouTube as well as on her Instagram, she also hasn't posted in multiple years. Furthermore, if you go to her pinned tweet, you'll find that the vast majority of the responses are complaints about commissions not being delivered on, as well as people demanding their money back, and that is exactly what we are going to be investigating today. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of this story, I want to quickly mention that YouTube Studio tells me that the majority of you aren't actually subbed to the channel, so if you haven't already, please subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 1.3k subs and I know we can do it. Anyway, back to the video. Now, this Ida person launched a Your Character Here project where people could pay for their own furry characters drawn in Ida's personal style to be in a picture with her and Pyro, to which Pyro even responded by calling it based, which is real funny to me because if my girlfriend drew me like this, I'd probably perceive that like as an insult. However, the problem with this project is that while multiple people did pay Ida for their characters to appear in this picture, she did not actually complete any of the work and instead stayed radio silent, disappearing from the public spotlight completely. Now, a couple of months ago, someone decided to release a full-on Google document detailing their experience with Ida's unprofessional commission service. This document featured a full-on chat log with Ida confirming that this person paid for their avatar to be part of this picture, yet Ida ignored them for over a year. Even when the person politely requested a refund at the start of last year, she still did not give a response. Now, this chat log releasing prompted a bunch of people to also share their experiences with Ida and co-sign the narrative that she acted extremely unprofessionally, did not communicate with her clients at all, and after not delivering anything, she ignored all requests for a refund. Through a Twitter thread by this person, we have another chat log with proof of payment right here, and a third one where the person just politely asked for an update after almost a year of radio silence, to which Ida predictably responded to with even more radio silence. One person claimed to have only gotten their money back through going to PayPal directly, however there's no proof attached, so take take that with a grain of salt, and perhaps most interestingly, there's a person who confirmed that they received a partial refund by actually going to Pyro himself and asking him about it, which does mean that Pyro became aware of this situation all the way back in July of last year, yet there still have been no refunds provided. Now obviously to some people this paints the picture that Ida just took people's money for the commissions with no intention of ever delivering on them, while others argue that we don't know what's going on in Ida's life and that she might be suffering from burnout or a lack of motivation, which is why she can't deliver on the commissions. But regardless of why you think this is happening, it's indisputably a matter of fact that people from Pyro's community paid money to get their stupid character onto that picture, and Ida took everybody's money without ever doing the work. Now Pyrocynical in response to this briefly talked about it on stream. But before I get into Pyro's response, I do want to give a quick shout out to this creator Adwell, who made people aware that this is happening. Now I personally didn't like this guy's video, mainly because he's just wasting everyone's time by adding pointless comedic bits of him trying to be funny, and I get that he wants to appear as likable as possible because he knows a lot of new people are gonna be watching his video and he obviously wants them to stick around and watch his future uploads for his personality. But it's just come on man, you're breaking a massive scam story against an insanely popular YouTuber and you're wasting all this time by just messing around. It's kind of infuriating, especially when you're just there for information. And also he didn't link any of the evidence, so I spent 2 hours verifying every single post myself to confirm that he isn't just making this up, which is why I think no one has picked up the story, because most YouTubers can't be bothered to even do research. But even though his video isn't perfect, without him I would have never even realized that this was going on, so he definitely deserves a shout out. So back in October when the Google document released, Pyro provided a short response on stream.
Obviously, it's a bad situation. It is. I'm not gonna, it puts me in a difficult position because it's my girlfriend, but obviously I'm not gonna defend that. I'm not gonna say it's good. A personal example, right, is I've commissioned art and I've never got it. I've commissioned art and I've had to wait years. I get that every single artist has different rates, different times. Sometimes, mental health is a thing that goes into it as well. Obviously, I'm not saying that as an excuse for what's going on with her. I have talked to her about it in private, and she's basically planning on either finishing the pieces that she owes or refunding the people. So it's not like she's trying to ignore it or sweep it under the rug. I think it's a bad situation. I think, if you can't do the art, you should definitely refund it 100%. But again, that's happened to me as well. I've commissioned art, I haven't got it, and then it's I feel like I don't have any ill will to the people that called her out. They're obviously voicing their opinions and stuff. They're voicing their complaints, sorry, on how they haven't got the art. And I think that's completely valid. I mean, myself as well, I've also, I've commissioned art and then I've paid upfront in full, sometimes thousands of dollars, and never got it. And then, the artist has just ran away or deactivated. And I'm annoyed by that. I'm annoyed by that. So to an extent, I can actually empathize with the frustration that people have. But again, I have talked to her in private. She's not running away with the money or anything like that. She's either looking at finishing the pieces or she's looking at refunding people.
Now obviously he agrees that Ida is clearly in the wrong here, and he then also confirms that she is working on either refunding everyone or finishing the art. I do actually think that is a pretty fair response from Pyro. The only thing I sort of want to criticize is that he keeps bringing up that this happened to him before as well, and that it's a common problem on Twitter. And while I do agree that this probably happens a lot, it's still obviously immoral and should be called out when it does happen. For instance, you probably have gotten your wallet stolen before, it's pretty common. However, if you saw it happen to another person, you still probably condemn it. Now, apart from that aspect, I do consider the response to be quite reasonable. However, the problem here is that nothing ever came of it. Pyro promised that Ida would either deliver the commissions or refund people. And we're not talking about a large group of people here, there are only 4 confirmed victims, and even if we assume that there might be a couple more that haven't gone public, it's still highly unlikely that she would have to do more than 10 drawings. So after not a single person received a refund or their artwork in the months following Pyro's statement, people took to Reddit once again to bring it up, to which Pyro responded with this short Reddit comment. And again, I don't like that he's mentioning that it happened to him before, because that once more really does make it sound like he's trying to downplay this whole thing. But looking past that, he definitely confirms that Ida is going to make this right. However, the reason people keep bringing up this situation is because from the outside looking in, it seems like nothing is getting done. And look, I'm not saying she has to deliver all her artwork at a moment's notice. I just feel like that in the 2 months between the first and second response, she should have at least like sent DMs to some of the victims, explaining that she's working on making things right, because again, there hasn't been a word about this from Ida directly, it's just radio silence. Now Pyro then further elaborated with another statement on stream.
I've already said what I needed to say on it, but I did speak to her a couple days ago about it as well, and she's actually saving the money up. She's apparently nearly saved the money up to pay everyone back. She's literally like working herself to the bone to make sure that she can pay everyone back. So she's not just like running away with the money or anything like that. Like there is no scam. But yeah, I tried to explain this on the subreddit and I just got absolutely down-duted because just complete hive mind. She's saving up the money right now to pay everyone back from what she's told me. So yeah, there's no scam.
And again, the bulk of the statement is fair. If Ida's really working her ass off trying to make everything right, then there really isn't a problem here. However, it just looks like that's absolutely not what's really happening here, because yet again, over 2 months have passed since the statement and no one has actually received their artwork or has been refunded. Yet despite that, Ida still advertises her commissions as open on her Twitter, which I do feel like is quite problematic considering she still has so many commissions she never even delivered on. Now, I will say that there is definitely a difference between this and like Logan Paul's Dink Doink scam, because I fundamentally don't believe that Ida went into this with the intention of scamming people. I think she might have just had some personal issues that prevented her from finishing the work. I don't think she had malicious intentions going in, especially since her account is just inactive. If she would have had the intention of straight up scamming people, she would have either deleted the account or used the classic never address it, never talk about it, block everyone that posts about it strategy. But instead just going inactive leads me to believe that she just might have some mental health struggles, and obviously if you pay a random Twitter artist for work with no contract whatsoever, it needs to be mentioned that there's always a risk of scamming involved. And I personally think if you're paying this woman $300 to draw you, that's a significant waste of money. But nevertheless, I do still believe that there's obvious wrongdoing here, which is why I want to get into the actual moral dilemma of this situation and how I would personally resolve it. Now, I think a lot of you watching are probably all thinking the same thing. Well, this is all Pyro's girlfriend's wrongdoing. Pyro really isn't at fault himself for any of this happening, so why are some people giving him specifically shit? And that's the sentiment I had at first as well, but the more I looked into it, I eventually changed my mind and I wanna try to explain my thought process to you guys here. Alright, listen, we can't look into Ida's personal life. We don't know what's going on and what types of problems she's facing. All we know is that she's Pyro's girlfriend and that according to Pyro, she is currently working her ass off to be able to refund everyone. Now, there could be plenty of reasons for Ida not being able to do the work that she promised she would. Mental health struggles, personal problems, lack of motivation. I can even fundamentally sort of relate to perhaps even losing passion for something and then not being able to bring yourself to do the work. And obviously, if you know you should do something because people paid you for it and then you can't bring yourself to actually do it, the sort of natural human response for a lot of people would be to hide away and to try and avoid the confrontation. I fully understand that and I do not think that Ida is a terrible person, but at the end of the day she did scam multiple people. Even though I personally think these people wasted their money in the first place, I still believe they should get it back. Now, based on Pyro's statements, Ida seems to be going through a lot right now and she's even taking extra shifts at work to try and save up money to pay everyone back, and I'm gonna assume that Pyro is telling the truth here. So if she's doing all that and then after 1 year of silence and then 4 more months of this being public knowledge, she still hasn't been able to pay anyone back or complete as much as one drawing, maybe you as the boyfriend need to step in. Because the way I see it, if my girlfriend is scamming people and she can't resolve it, there's realistically only 2 options. Either I dump my girlfriend because she's scamming people, which is what I would do personally, or if I'm really committed to my girl because she's drawing me all of this furry porn or whatever, then I need to step in. There's 2 main reasons I believe Pyro should step in. One, the majority of victims got scammed through the Your Character Here project, which Pyro featured in and promoted on his Twitter. So it's fair to say that these are his fans that have just lost their money. And secondly, and more importantly, if Ida is working so much like you claim just to pay everyone back and she still can't afford to do it, maybe you as her millionaire YouTuber boyfriend should be the one to resolve the issue, paying everyone and turning her debt to multiple people into just debt to you personally. Because I believe it's way better for her to owe you money than for her to owe a bunch of random people money that might need it back desperately because their financial situation is highly likely a lot worse than yours. Because there are only like 4 confirmed victims victims, even if we assume that everyone paid the highest possible amount of $250, and we then also assume that there might be more victims that haven't come forward, all of this together would still at most cost like $2,000 to $3,000. This isn't some sort of multi-million Logan Paul scam. We're only talking about a couple $1,000s, and if your girlfriend can't afford to pay these people that are largely coming from your community, why aren't you stepping in, covering the costs, and then resolving the rest with your girlfriend privately? Not only would you objectively be seen as the good guy, you would then also be able to resolve the matter in complete privacy with your girlfriend and don't have to be annoyed whenever someone brings it up in your subreddit or livestream chat, and the people that desperately need their money back wouldn't care at all who they got it from. So there's literally no downside to doing this, especially considering that Pyro actively live streams on a channel with 1 million subs while his main sits at almost 5 million, so he could definitely afford to pay these few $1,000. Also, Pyrocynical literally stated in his response that he got scammed for thousands while asking for commissions before, so he should recognize how unjust the situation is that his girlfriend created. So the way I see it, if your girlfriend is scamming people and she can't pay them back, you either dump her or step in. Doing nothing just shows a clear lack of integrity, especially considering if this situation happened to like Logan Paul or Turkey Tom, he definitely wouldn't show the same level of charitability there, and there would be no way he'd be saying, yeah guys, there's no scam here. Now I do want to say that of course at the end of the day, there's nothing we can really do about it. If someone came to Pyro and told him my exact line of thinking, nothing's stopping him from just saying, nah, I disagree, it's her fault, she needs to fix all of this, I had nothing to do with it. And I do believe that if this is Pyro's response, it's still acceptable. Like, I wouldn't start becoming a complete Pyrocynical hater over this, I'd still watch his main channel video essays, but for me it would show a clear lack of character, and I would respect him significantly less if he doesn't step in to make things right, especially since he definitely has the monetary ability to do so. And also, I just know that a person who really does care about their community would do exactly that. Anyway, do you agree with my line of argumentation? I know opinions are gonna diverge heavily here, so be sure to share yours in the comments, and as always, like the video if you enjoyed, follow me on Twitter, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.